Hi, today we're going to be looking at a narrative non-fiction story, A Prairie Guard Dog. We're going to be hearing from a narrator, that's the narrative part, and it's going to tell a story in order. Non-fiction is because it really happened. So this is a trip someone's taking to the prairie, and they're going to tell us the events in order in a narrative non-fiction. We're going to be thinking about the features of the different animal habitats in the next few stories, and we're going to read to learn about the place a prairie dog calls home. A prairie guard dog. I am on a journey. My trip is to a prairie. It is in the outdoor world called nature. Many animals live in a prairie habitat. This place has what prairie dogs need to survive. A prairie has a lot of grasses, but few trees. Without places to hide, a prairie can be dangerous for some animals. Good morning! It is the morning. First, I see a prairie dog. I name him Pete. He peeks his head out of his burrow underground. He looks around. Then Pete calls loudly to his family, "Yip!" He lets them know it is safe to come out. Soon, 4 prairie dogs come out. Here is the caption that goes with the picture. Prairie dogs build underground burrows to help keep themselves safe from predators. I'm going to read the words in the picture and the caption for the picture. Remember, the caption captures the idea of the picture before I read the text. Yap! Yap! Prairie dogs can make 11 different sounds to communicate with each other. Pete is the guard, and he is restless. He cannot rest because he is always looking for danger. This allows the other prairie dogs to safely munch on grasses and seeds. They can also groom each other or work in their burrow. A scare. Oh no! Pete spies a large badger. When he sees it, he gives a loud bark. Yap! Yap! His family recognizes the warning. Some hide in tall grasses and some jump into the burrow. The badger runs at Pete, but the watchful guard is able to escape into the burrow. I am glad he is able to get away from danger. After a few minutes, Pete peeks his head out again, and he is back on the job. There's a photograph of a badger there, and here's the caption. Badgers live on the prairie and hunt prairie dogs. Break time. The sun gets higher, and it is hot now. The prairie dogs slip into their deep burrow, where it is cooler. Even Pete goes in. Tunnels, like hallways, lead to different areas. There is a sleeping room. There is a room used like a bathroom. The prairie dogs cover roots and seeds in one room. Later, they eat the buried food that's there. That's kind of like the kitchen, isn't it? Now, here's one of my favorite text features, especially in nonfiction. This is a sliced through view. So if we could see what is under the ground. So we can see the prairie dogs on top of the ground and a little mound, a little mountain where they come out. That's where the dirt that was dug out goes. And then we can see inside their home, and we can see the tunnels and some of the different rooms. Second shift. I keep watching the burrow. Finally, the sun begins to set, and a different prairie dog peeks its head out. I name him Gary. Pete must be off duty. Yip! Gary calls. The other prairie dogs come back out. The prairie dogs eat and play until the moon is high in the sky. Then they go to sleep in their burrows. I wonder if Pete will be back on duty. I will see him in the morning. All right, here's a chart. That's a text feature, and the chart is titled Prairie Dog Facts. That's what's going to be on the chart. And this side of the chart over here tells what we're going to be looking at. Size, weight, habitat, food, shelter, and predators. The size of the prairie dog is 12 to 15 inches. That's as long as a ruler or a little longer than a ruler. The weight is 2 to 4 pounds. Habitat, short and medium grass desert prairies, so a drier prairie. Food, roots, seeds, leaves of plants, grasses. Shelter, underground burrow with many rooms. Predators, coyotes, bobcats, badgers, foxes, weasels. So in this chart, you may notice when I'm reading it aloud, it sounds a little funny. That's because none of these are complete sentences. In a chart, I'm just putting in the information, not in a sentence form. A Prairie Guard Dog is a narrative nonfiction. A narrative nonfiction tells about things, people, or events. It is told by a narrator, the person that kept saying I and wrote down the words, and it follows a sequence and order. Something else we looked at in here was some text features. Headings. The headings tell what the section is mostly about, and the headings in this story were blue. Bold print. These words are important to the understanding of the text. So the bold print are words like here we can see tunnels and buried, and the yellow highlight we know means it's a vocabulary word. So that's our narrative nonfiction, A Prairie Guard Dog. I hope you enjoyed A Prairie Guard Dog. Thanks for listening to Learn with me, Mrs. Sullivan.